At Indiana Dunes National Park, the National Park Foundation is partnering with SCA, the Student Conservation Association, to support Service Corps working on critical conservation projects.
Northwest Indiana is one of the most biodiverse parts of the country. It really is important for conservation to protect it.
Service Corps can open the doors for young people to build future careers in conservation.
I got started with the SCA back in 2017. The SCA really provided me the tools, the education to then go off and lead successful crews.
Coming in and learning with the other guys and girls here, it paints a bigger picture than just being outside. It's actually like making a difference.
I really want a career in this field, so I'm looking to make as much progress as I can while I'm here. I'm in college right now for environmental science and policy. I want to protect nature as much as I can. Hopefully, I can make a lot bigger of an impact in the future.
Joining a Service Corps can lead to a career in conservation. I want to continue to foster our members so that whatever it is that they want to go after, they also know that there's a whole organization behind them to support them.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual event, Then, Now, Tomorrow, Empowering Our Future Conservation and Climate Stewards. My name is Nicole McHenry. I am a woman with a slick bun, square frame glasses. I'm wearing a black cardigan with a National Park Service arrowhead, and my background is of deep blue water in Crater Lake National Park. I serve as the Relevancy, Diversity, and Inclusion Program Manager for the Midwest region of the National Park Service. I have been with the National Park Service for 32 years, and I have worked in several parks in a number of capacities, and I am pleased to be here with you all today. The National Park Service has a long history of collaborating with Service and Conservation Corps and other youth-serving organizations to engage teens and youth and young adults in service projects and education in parks. In this event, we will hear current and former Corps participants share their experience working and serving on public lands. We will discuss sustainability, accessibility, historic preservation, and climate change in parks, and explore how the next generation of stewards can get involved in helping to maintain and improve our public lands. With the recent launch of the American Climate Corps announced by President Biden this past Monday, April 22nd, during Earth Day, this is an exciting time to learn about how parks and national service programs go hand in hand. I would like to thank the Corps Network, the National Park Foundation, and Americorps for co-organizing this event with us. If you all have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat box in Zoom or in the comments on our Facebook page at any time. We will address some of them during the question and answer session. Please feel free to introduce yourselves and let us know where you are joining us from. Please note this event will be recorded. The link for the recording will be posted on our official event page in the upcoming days. The event will be live captioned in a separate stream text link that will be added to the chat. Please also welcome our ASL interpreters, Danielle and Kelly, who will take places on the screen the entire time for accessibility. The captioner is Jamie. But first, we will have opening remarks from the co-host organizations, followed by a panel discussion, a question and answer session, and closing remarks. But to begin, I am pleased to introduce Mary Ellen Sprinkle, the President and CEO of the Corps Network.
Happy National Park Week and happy Earth Month. I'm Mary Ellen Sprinkle, President and CEO of the Corps Network. I'm a woman with blonde hair. I'm wearing glasses and a white sweater with a Corps Network logo on it. And my background is of Mount Rainier National Park. The Corps Network is the association representing more than 150 service and conservation corps across the United States in big cities and rural towns alike. Every year, these programs engage more than 22,000 diverse young adults in conservation-focused service and job training. We are thrilled to once again celebrate National Park Week with our close partners, the National Park Foundation. Right now, there are hundreds of Americorps members serving in national parks across the country, removing invasive species, restoring native habitat, building trails and campgrounds, and preserving historic buildings. There are also Americorps members serving in communities throughout the nation, creating urban green spaces and parks, planting trees and gardens, and making homes more energy efficient. Last year alone, Corps planted more than 370,000 trees and restored an area of habitat roughly the size of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. My background image today is of an American Sign Language inclusion crew from Northwest Youth Corps doing trail work at Mount Rainier National Park. As Nicole mentioned, the administration recently launched American Climate Corps, a new initiative led by the White House to help expand Corps programs and engage many more young people in conservation and climate resilient projects. On Monday, the government launched climatecorps.gov, a website where you can find opportunities to serve in the ACC. This is an exciting time for service and conservation corps and our partners. Thank you for tuning in today to hear current and former Corps members discuss their experiences. I hope some of you leave today feeling today's event inspired you to join a Corps and the American Climate Corps. And with that, I will pass it back to you, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. That was great to hear. Tracy Ritchie, the Vice President of Education and Engagement at the National Park Foundation.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, Mary Ellen. It is such a great pleasure to be here with you all today, celebrating National Park Week and to celebrate our Service Corps members and alumni. My name is Tracy Ritchie. I am Vice President of Education and Engagement with the National Park Foundation. I am a woman with blonde hair. I am wearing a black sweater, and I am sitting in my office in Washington, D.C., and my background is a beautiful forest floor with lush green plants and purple flowers. First, I just want to express how excited I am to be here with you all today. This is a great event that I've participated in for several years now, and it always is a feel-good and inspiring event to hear from you all, the Corps members. I'm so excited and honored to be with our partners, the Corps Network and the National Park Service, that it really truly does take a village to run these types of programs and have this kind of incredible impact. Service Corps members do so much for our parks, making them more accessible, protecting our cultural and natural resources, and helping parks become more resilient in the face of a changing climate. Service Corps offer opportunities for individuals of different experiences and backgrounds to engage in leadership roles and learn practical field skills. This is a tremendous benefit for all of you emerging leaders and for the parks themselves to benefit from your hard work. Most importantly, we hope that Service Corps experiences inspire younger generations to explore outdoor careers and continue this important work and take that care ethic and stewardship with you into whatever career paths you choose in the future. Last year, we're super excited to say that the National Park Foundation invested more than $5 million to fund over 30 crews across the country and U.S. territories. I will also talk about a Northwest Service Corps project that happened across Mount Rainier and Puget Sound, where it was very excitedly awarded the 2024 Project of the Year from the Corps Network. The Sound to Summit experience provides teenagers from urban communities for conservation service across Washington state. And we were so proud that an NPF-funded project was awarded that great honor. Like I said earlier, it truly does take a village to make all of these programs happen. And we, the National Park Foundation, wouldn't be able to do that without the support of our generous donors. I could not name them all today. We will be sitting here for a very long time, but please allow me to name just a select few that we would like to acknowledge today. The Mallet Family Foundation, Carhartt Inc., American Express, Gregory Annenberg Weingarten, Row at Annenberg, Karen and Brian Conway, Free People, Expedia, Rick and Vicki James, Nature Valley, Kevin and Annie Parker, Denise Phillips, Public Supermarkets, REI Co-op, and many other donors. Again, we have amazing donors who are really dedicated to the work and the impact of Service Corps programs, and we're so grateful for their support. Service Corps members are contributing in such meaningful ways to our national parks, including supporting the maintenance action teams and advancing projects funded by the Great American Outdoors Act. We're also super excited about the President's announcement on Monday for Earth Day and the American Climate Corps. We really look forward to supporting that work as well. The future of conservation depends on programs such as Service Corps and depends on people such as you, the current and alumni members. When I imagine the future of national parks and conservation, I envision all of us working together to take care of parks and each other, making sure that all people see themselves reflected and respected across the landscapes, history, and stories of our parks and national public lands. Each of us have a role to play, and I thank the Corps Network, Service Corps members, and the National Park Service for all you do to support the protection of these parks. And I will hand it back to you, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Next up, we have Yasmin Shaheen McConnell, the Senior Advisor for Strategic Partnerships at Americorps.
Thanks so much, Nicole. It's so nice to be with y'all today. My name is Yasmin Shaheen McConnell. I'm Americorps' Senior Advisor for Strategic Partnerships. I have the pleasure of serving in the Biden-Harris administration. I am currently today in Minneapolis, which is the traditional homelands of the Dakota people. I am a white presenting woman who is sitting down with the background of the tidal basin in Washington, D.C. with some beautiful cherry blossoms behind me. I want to start by wishing everybody happy Earth Week, happy National Parks Week. And I know y'all are excited to hear from members, so I will just shorten this up by saying that I'm just thrilled to be with the National Park Service Youth Programs Office, the Corps Network, the National Park Foundation, and other longtime partners of Americorps. It's been an honor to put together a fund and make sure we're supporting across the country incredible core programs. Americorps' climate and conservation footprint is quite broad. We've got 30 years of experience, and in the last year alone, nearly 15,000 members who served annually in climate, conservation, and environmental stewardship positions. We provide a range of opportunities along with our partners to people who serve. That includes a living allowance, some wraparound benefits, education awards, skills and hands-on experience. And I'm very proud that the Biden-Harris administration just on Monday, on Earth Day, like Mary Ellen mentioned, announced that applications are now open for the American Climate Corps, an initiative founded by President Biden to engage 20,000 young people in opportunities, service and workforce development opportunities to train the next generation of climate, clean energy, and climate resilience workers. We're thrilled to be here with you today, and I thank so much the members who are stepping forward to take action in conservation and climate every day, and looking forward to hearing all your stories. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Yasmin. And lastly, we have Jamie Crispin, the Youth Programs Manager for the Youth and Young Adults Program Division at the National Park Service.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Crispin. I'm the Youth Programs Manager for the Youth Programs Division at the National Park Service. I am a female with short hair and a black shirt, and my virtual background is of prairie at the Tall Grass Prairie Nature Preserve in Kansas. As everyone's saying, happy National Park Week to you all. I hope you will take time to visit one of our National Park Service sites this week or in the near future to see the beauty and awe for yourself. As many of you know and love, national parks are places of exploration, wellness, healing, and opportunities. In the National Park Service Youth Programs Division, our office connects over 5,700 youth and young adults to paid internships across all of our national park sites. These programs help support the mission of the National Park Service through preserving the natural, cultural, historical, and recreational resources of our nation. Working alongside National Park Service staff, our interns build leadership and professional development skills, earn certifications, and hopefully find employment opportunities. Our interns work as biologists, trail builders, museum curators, visual information specialists, park rangers, and so much more. Our programs are for all Americans. We aim to build a respectful, inclusive, safe, and engaging environment. Now more than ever, we look towards youth and young adults to innovate, transform, and enhance the National Park Service in meeting its mission and priorities. We are encouraged by the next generation of conservation leaders, environmental advocates, and outdoor enthusiasts that will preserve and protect our public lands. The National Park Service is responsible for sustaining our nation's most treasured places. Human activity impacts our climate, and the National Park Service is working to respond to that impact through sustainable operations and environmentally friendly solutions. There is a place for all youth and young adults to support climate change work at our national parks, and we have a spot waiting for you. Soon, we'll hear from several youth and young adults about their internship experience, accomplishments, and impact on our public lands. I applaud them and the partnering organizations for their service and encourage more like them to explore the National Park Service and our internships. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk, and I'll pass it back to Nicole.
Thank you, Jamie. That was great. If I wasn't already a Park Service employee, you inspired me. So hopefully you're inspiring others on the call as well. Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate hearing all from you, and I'm sure the people on the call did as well. I now would like to invite our panelists to turn on their cameras for the panel discussion. I will field a few questions from the audience and ask some of our questions. First, we have Sarah Doherty, a core member with Student Conservation Association at Gulf Corps. We have Jenna Millidan, a PhD student with the Great Basin Institute, who was also a 2024 Corps Member of the Year. We have Sarah Velez Galindez, a field coordinator with Bori Corps and a 2024 Corps Member of the Year. We have Wuju Chang, a birdability intern with Environment for the Americas. Olivia Hall, a Corps member with the Picani Lands Crew, a partnership between Montana Conservation Corps and the Blackfeet Nation. And Mason Buckner, a strategic planning coordinator with the National Parks of Boston, New Climate Conservation Corps through Conservation Legacy. Before we would begin, I would like to remind everyone to feel free to continue submitting your questions in the questions box with your name, affiliation, and to whom the question should be addressed. The first two questions are directed to all panelists, and we will begin in this order. It will go with Sarah D, Jenna, Sarah V, Wuju, Olivia, and Mason. The first question is, tell us about where you serve and what your role entails. What kinds of projects have you done? And why did you decide to get involved in a service and conservation corps? Sarah D, we will start with you.
So my name is Sarah Doty, and for the last 8 months, I've been traveling around South Texas, doing a variety of land restoration projects, working with partners ranging from national wildlife refuges, state parks, national and city preserves. We largely do basal bark spraying using backpack sprayers or cut stumping by cutting down a tree and then directly applying herbicide to the stump. I decided to get involved with the Corps world because I wanted to work amongst nature right outside of college, make a difference on the land that I could see and travel around. And this really fit all of it. Thanks.
Jenna.
My name is Jenna, and I served through Americorps with the Great Basin Institute in Capitol Reef National Park in Utah. I was a botany technician for the park, and I worked on large-scale restoration projects and finding and monitoring federally listed plant species in the backcountry, as well as creating genetic sampling protocols. And my work on some of our big restoration projects led to the discovery of a nested parasitism complex where we found a wasp parasitoid species infesting a flower-eating fruit fly, which was then eating some of the park's flower species that are in the sunflower family. So right now, we're working on describing these species that are new to science, and then working on developing this into a peer-reviewed publication. And then as far as getting involved, I saw the job listing at the end of my undergrad and master's, and I knew I'd love the opportunity to work with rare species and on restoration projects in the Utah desert. I discovered how much I really loved doing fieldwork in my master's, and I was excited to receive different kinds of fieldwork experience in a region I'd never lived in before. And then also it allowed me to integrate methods and ideas I'd gained from my academic research with my work in conservation, while also exposing me to new methods and techniques in federal land management. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah V.
Hola, I am Sara Velez. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I am a corps member of Body Corps. I am a woman, and today I'm wearing a brown cap, brown reading glasses, and Body Corps uniform, which is a long blue sleeve shirt. So my background is San Juan National Historical Site here at Puerto Rico, and the decision to get involved in Conservation Corps was based on economic necessity. And I also wanted to learn and gain new skills. And I served at San Juan National Historical Site at Puerto Rico from 2021 to 2023. And I started as a crew member, and I made my way up to a field coordinator. And as a field coordinator, I was the person in charge of creating the work plan, and I had the task of documenting everything. And I also worked in the field with the crew, and I was the bridge between Body Corps and National Park Service. As a field coordinator, I was also doing mentorship for the crew members and the crew leaders, and I was keeping up with their goals and holding them accountable. For the project at El Morro, like we call it in Puerto Rico, our main project was turf restoration in a 27-acre esplanade. And the target was to replace the erosion areas with new sod and redirect the water flow and give the grass some maintenance. So we also did trail maintenance and restoration. We cleared a large path for the masons over there to work on the wall restoration project that they had. And we also did that for safety for the visitors. And while doing that, we also created a water channel for the trail to redirect the water flow and avoid damage to the structure. The crew also and I had the experience of doing wall maintenance, which consisted of light work, like with weed removal. And some of the crew members had the opportunity to volunteer with cultural management personnel doing cannon conservation. Some of them had the opportunity to work with at the archive, doing some work with the archaeological collections, and also some of them were interested in interpretation at the visitor center. So Body Corps did a lot. We covered mostly all of the bases. So yeah, back to you, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you. Wuju.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wuju Chong. I'm a feminine presenting person with long black hair, and I'm wearing a white sweater, and my background is the Golden Gate Bridge. So I'm an accessibility intern at Birdability, and I work on site at Golden Gate National Recreation Area. In terms of the bigger picture, our goal is to make outdoor recreational activities like bird watching and the outdoors in general more welcoming, inclusive, safe, and accessible for everyone. Through promoting accessible outdoor recreation, we hope to increase public engagement in environmental conservation efforts. By increasing public engagement by not only including but also advocating for individuals with diverse backgrounds, such as those with lived experience with disabilities, we hope to be able to encourage individuals to become advocates for environmental protection and conservation. Thus, the Birdability intern cohort comes from a variety of different lived experiences, including those with experiences with chronic pain, mobility issues, and hearing and vision accessibility needs. Right now, as for work, we're working on hosting an accessible bird walk for World Migratory Bird Day, which is on May 11th. World Migratory Bird Day is an educational campaign that advocates for the awareness and conservation of migratory birds' habitat. And this year, the theme is insects and the role insects play within the larger ecosystem, particularly for birds. So for our activities, we're also trying to incorporate that theme in a fun, educational way. More specifically, while planning the bird walk, we work to consider different accessibility needs so that people with all sorts of needs can come attend. This means that we do really detailed surveys of potential sites, especially as accessibility regulations can be quite vague and serve more as a bare minimum. For example, some things that we look at when we're assessing a site are things like path material, how maintained the paths are, how available rest areas or shelters are, or how certain installations like fences or benches can hinder someone's experience. Other than site surveys, while planning, we also are doing outreach and considering education opportunities. For example, partnering with local disability organizations or creating on-theme educational tools such as pamphlets or infographics. We're also involved in creating online materials and guideline resources for national parks based on our experiences. Ultimately, Birdability's goal is to become a model project for other parks interested in implementing similar initiatives. And our internship is actually in its pilot year, so there's a lot of freedom for us interns to test things, to see what works and what doesn't work in terms of accessibility. And as for why I chose personally to get involved in a service and conservation corps. I think I was really charmed by Birdability's message for promoting accessibility. As I mentioned before, all the interns in my cohort, including myself, have some sort of lived experience or secondhand experience with a disability. And I know for those of us with disabilities, the outdoors can be scary, challenging, and even hostile. So being aware of that, I think I really want to contribute to something that can make the outdoors feel closer and more accessible. And most importantly, show that there's a space for everyone outdoors and that outdoor activities can be something that everyone with all sorts of abilities can enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Wuju. Olivia, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia Hall. I am the Pekani Lands Group Field Coordinator under the Montana Conservation Corps. I am a female with long black hair. I am wearing a black coat with a white shirt, and my background is a picture of Sayee Pass and Glacier National Park. I currently serve as the Pekani Lands Field Coordinator under the Montana Conservation Corps. My role entails engaging in diverse conservation service activities on ancestral lands, while also providing valuable leadership skills to Native American youth, specifically on the Blackfeet Reservation in Browning, Montana. Some of the projects that we have done include strenuous miles of trail work and restoration, miles of spraying noxious weeds, and various wildlife surveying, all specifically on our reservation. I have decided to get involved in Service and Conservation Corps because I think it is so important for our young Indigenous youth to explore and work on integrating traditional ecological knowledge, personal development, and meaningful project work based on our ancestral lands on the Blackfeet Reservation. Thank you. Back to Nicole.
Thank you. And Mason.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mason Bunker. I am a masculine presenting white man. I am wearing a navy blue shirt with the Conservation Legacy Stewards Individual Placements logo on it, and I am wearing a backwards canvas baseball hat. My background is of a salt marsh on the Boston Harbor Islands, and you can see water because it is high tide. I am serving currently as an Americorps Vista through Conservation Legacy, and I am placed at the National Parks of Boston with their Climate Conservation Corps in my role as Strategic Planning Coordinator. Through this role, I am helping our pilot year to plan for the next year and subsequent years in terms of projects, securing funding, and determining logistics for the current work that we are doing and for the work that we plan to carry out in the future. Some of our current projects include mapping current and potential salt marsh locations, as well as monitoring them, conducting energy efficiency assessments in historically preserved buildings in the Charlestown Navy Yard, and completing a climate resilient plant palette to ensure that future plantings in the Navy Yard are native plants that are friendly and resilient to the impacts of predicted sea level rise in the area. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Our next question, we will go in the same order that we did at first. Hopefully you all remember, but I will start it off with Sarah. The next question is, how have you grown personally and professionally through participating in one of these programs? What have you learned about yourself that you did not know before? And Sarah, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just going to describe my background because I forgot to do that. This is Cypress Knees from Big Thicket National Preserve. And I'm a feminine presenting person with brown hair and bangs and glasses and an orange shirt. So these last 8 months, I have definitely grown my resilience to a variety of different situations. We frequently work in temperatures ranging from 105 degrees and very humid to 30 degrees and drizzling and freezing. There's always a variety of stinging insects around, mosquitoes and ticks being the biggest offenders. And at Laguna de Escosa, we were working around gators everywhere. There was a gator that would hiss at us right next to where we had to park and camp out. So I definitely think my resilience has been increased, and I've definitely been able to see what I'm capable of through this term. Thanks.
Nice. Jenna.
I'm also going to describe my background because I forgot to do that before, but this is at the beautiful Capitol Reef National Park, a lovely desert landscape during sunset with the Henry Mountains. And I am a female who's white with dark brown hair and a green blazer. And personally, I think I've become a lot more confident as a person. My bosses and coworkers created a really supportive work environment, and they encouraged me to share new ideas and try different things out in the field. And then also just like the nature of my work, which was, leading crews onto the field and designing and piloting new monitoring protocols helped foster this confidence as well. And professionally, I developed really crucial experience in botanical conservation methods that are geared towards public land management. My personal research interests are primarily in plant adaptations under climate change, which aligns with questions and management concerns that are often associated with federally protected lands. So this put me in a unique position to draw parallels from the themes of my research to the research and management needs of the park. And my time at Capitol Reef National Park has made me think more broadly about the application of science and finding parallels between my research in evolutionary biology and my work with monitoring and conserving rare species in the park has really helped develop my vision for the research that I'm currently pursuing in my PhD. Thank you. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you. And our next person up is Sarah V.
Yeah, so hi again. So by participating in the program, I have grown a lot personally and professionally. So first of all, I've gained a lot of confidence, and without that, I would not be able to grow in any aspect. So now I'm able to communicate efficiently and with a lot of people, and I wasn't able to do that before. And I have expanded my knowledge in project management, and I've gained a lot of skills which I use on a day-to-day basis. And the thing that I learned about myself that I did not know before is that I was capable of leading, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Wuju.
For me, thankfully, the Birdability internship program really values education and personal growth. For example, we have webinars led by different leaders in disability advocacy, bird watching, or environmental conservation every week. And honestly, everyone we have been able to talk to has been so supportive, encouraging, and welcoming. So I can definitely say my awareness and specialized knowledge in those fields have increased. Particularly through this internship, I've learned a lot about technology aids for disabilities and even got to interact with these aids firsthand, which I thought was really cool, as not only these aids are really expensive, but information about disability aids are quite hard to find. Personally, though, I feel that my observation abilities and just curiosity in general have grown a lot. For example, I don't think I've ever personally thought about birds in my everyday life before this internship, especially as I spent a lot of time in major cities where the only birds you really encounter on a daily basis are pigeons. But thanks to this internship encouraging me to be more mindful, even in like my everyday life, I'm always noticing new birds and their standout characteristics, and I often find myself Googling their fun facts later. I also find myself just stopping to take a closer look when I'm doing super mundane things like walking to class or getting groceries. So I definitely feel that this internship has added more color and intentionality into my life. Yeah, overall, I think it's really amazing how much you can observe and notice when you go into something with the intention of slowing down and paying attention. So I'm really grateful to Birdability for not only teaching me a lot about disability advocacy, environmental conservation, but also helping me hone my more general observation skills and mindfulness. Thank you.
Thank you. Olivia.
So personally, I have developed a deeper connection to nature, a sense of pride in preserving our cultural heritage. And I've also gained a greater understanding of how important it is to network with individuals in different fields of study. I have grown professionally through the valuable skills and conservation practices that have been applied while working under the Montana Conservation Corps, as well as teamwork, leadership, and cultural competency. Working with an Indigenous conservation crew has opened up so many opportunities for me, like networking, collaboration, and also career advancement, all in the field of conservation. I have gained a deeper understanding and appreciation of my own Indigenous cultural and heritage, and also the importance of preserving and protecting the environment for our future generations. Working in conservation is also very, very physically and mentally demanding. And being part of this crew has helped me discover my own resilience and ability to overcome these challenges. So I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to work under the Montana Conservation Corps. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mason.
For me, I think I've grown in primarily getting better at giving more succinct and high-level responses. Working in my role, I do a lot of coordinating between stakeholders, our core members, and various employees of our park, as well as our partners, because we exist as a partnership park. And there's a lot of collaboration and coordination that goes into making sure those meetings are useful for everyone's time. And a large part of that is being succinct and being clear with the asks. So that's one way in which I've grown. And one other thing that I've learned about myself is that I originally started in the field of conservation work over the summers out in the field doing field work every day. And I took this role because I wanted to do more of the logistics side of things. And one thing that has not surprised me, but I certainly miss getting to go out into the field every day and doing the actual work. But it's just as important, if not more important, to have someone doing the logistics and figuring out the funding and figuring out the plan for what you're going to get done each day, because without that, you can't have the field days. But I do miss the field days quite a bit. Thank you.
Thank you all. So our next question is for Wuju and Sarah D. Tell us about one of your favorite experiences from your service and why is this memory special to you? And we will start with you, Wuju.
I think my favorite experience was when my fellow intern Mo and I went to first visit the site for our bird walk, which is Chrissy Field over in San Francisco. I think that visit was the first time that I went somewhere with the intention of paying attention to birds. And at first, it was actually really hard. For example, I would hear the birds, but I wouldn't know exactly where to look, or I would see a bird, and while I was looking at the bird guide to like ID them, I would lose sight of them. But eventually Mo and I got a bit familiar with it and we were able to successfully ID a couple of birds. I was really surprised with how engaged Mo and I became in bird watching. Chrissy Field is next to kind of a busy highway, and I was shocked that somehow we were able to drown out all the noise of the commuting cars and just focus on being still and observing. But in that experience, what was really special to me was our site supervisor, Richard. While Mo and I were trying to ID a bird in the lagoon, Richard noticed that the safety railing might act as a barrier to some using mobility devices due to the height of the barrier. So he was looking up the height of the railing and even squatted mid-air to try to assess what sort of eye level someone using a mobility device would be at. And while the height of the safety railing was a legal requirement, we all tried to brainstorm how we could provide the resources so that anyone would be able to get the same view that initially enticed Mo and I. So anyways, I was just really impressed with not only Richard's attention to detail, but also his passion and enthusiasm. While we were walking, Richard was always like looking down at the path, assessing if the gravel was maintained nicely or not, making sure that there would be no bumps that could pose any issues to anyone when two types of paths met, and measuring things so that he can make sure things are wide enough for people to get through or short enough for people to see over. So like ultimately, it was not only a fun experience, but it was really heartwarming to see how much people in the Service Corps value accessibility. So thank you.
Sarah D., would you like to speak on that?
So my favorite experience during my term was back in October. We were working at Big Thicket National Preserve in Coons. And most of the work we were doing was herbicide spraying at Big Thicket. But there was one day where we all commuted out to Beaumont, which is about 30 to 40 minutes away from where we were working. And we got to take a canoe tour led by one of the interpretive rangers at the park, who has been living in the Big Thicket area. His family has been there for over 100 years. So he had a lot to say. It was just a wonderful experience, just taking the day to canoe 6 miles with my crew and hearing all of these just personal and passionate details about the land around me. We got to canoe through a cypress slough. So we were right up next to these knees. It was just a very beautiful and pleasant break from the important but sometimes monotonous work of herbicide spraying. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both. That's great information. How have the next question is for Sarah B. and Olivia. And the question is, how have the projects you worked on changed or solidified your perspective on the current environmental issues facing our planet?
So for me, that were done at San Juan National Historic Site were based on specific necessity in the park. On some occasions, it was focused on environment, but that did not limit my perspective on the current environment necessity on the planet, but specific to Puerto Rico that it's currently facing right now. So that's why the current project that we are running right now are focused on tree planting and mangrove restorations, a ridge to reef approach. That it's something that here right now in Puerto Rico is a necessity because the water shower is getting to the streets and the houses. So yeah, I got really conscious and I had to spread the word. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Olivia.
Yeah, for me, working with an all Indigenous crew on trail work, noxious weed spraying, and wildlife surveying has had a significant impact on my perspective regarding environmental issues facing our planet. By engaging in these hands-on conservation work, it has made me more aware of the importance of preserving our ecosystems and biodiversity. Through the activities like trail work and noxious weed spraying, I have witnessed firsthand the impact that human activity does have on the environment, which has also reinforced my urgency of conservation efforts. Working with an all Indigenous crew has also exposed me to traditional ecological knowledge practices and also sustainable practices, which has also inspired me to adopt environmental friendly behaviors in my own life. Overall, working with this crew on various environmental conservation activities has broadened my perspective, deepened my understanding of current environmental issues, and has also motivated me to take the actions towards a more sustainable and harmonious relationship with the planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing great work, and I appreciate hearing about all of the work that you all are doing in your areas. And I guess the last question, or the next question, is going to be for Mason and Jenna. And what actions can we take individually or collectively to help empower our future conservation and climate stewards? Mason, we can start with you.
I think that the individual and collective go hand in hand. I think that for individual actions that we can take, it's a lot of advocacy work and recognizing that climate change is going to happen whether or not we believe in it, and that there are actions that we can each do, and if each and every one of us does it, that can add up to a lot of change. But in terms of actually making a measurable impact, that's going to come from collective change. And this collective change needs to be twofold. There's climate response work that we can do that is critical and needs to be funded. We all recognize that this is important work, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we pay the people that are doing this work a respectable and living wage, and a living wage for that area. Being in Boston, in a urban city with our National Park Service, is very different than being in a rural community. And there are different standards and costs of living that go with that. But along with doing our climate response work, we also need to mitigate from the source and recognize that there are many wonderful things that we can do with ecological restoration work, but we also need to mitigate and remove from the source and significantly limit the amount of greenhouse gases that we are adding to our atmosphere.
Thank you, Mason. Jenna?
Collectively, I think continuing to support and develop programs like these is really essential. These programs give invaluable experience to young people while also developing their interest in niche areas that they may not have originally considered, since there is a lot of exposure. Like when you do a job like this, or you're a part of a corps, there's a lot of exposure to really unique opportunities when you get involved that you may have never found otherwise. And individually, it is really important to connect and share efforts being made around the nation towards working climate change. Whether you're a scientist and you are publishing your research, or you are a communications specialist for a corps and you're connecting with another corps working on similar projects, I think it's just really important and would create a powerful network that allows for other climate stewards and the public to know all of the great work that is being done, and then where future efforts can be directed as well. Thank you. Back to you, Nicole.
Yes, thank you. I agree with you all. I think it's important for all of us to individually and collectively do our part when it comes to climate change. So I am going to ask this question, and I think I will ask Wuju to answer it for me. And then we're going to open it up to the question and answer, the questions in the chat box. From your experience, why do you think it's important for the National Park Service or other resource management agencies to engage young people in service and work? Why should parks partner with CORE and other internship programs? Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask Mason to answer this question. Sorry about that, Wuju.
I think that in regards to participation, a lot has already been said, but so many people recognize the importance of the environment and the history and cultural importance of our national parks. And so many people don't necessarily know that they have them in their backyard, or they're thinking of the big 63 or so national parks like the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone. And so many people don't necessarily have the opportunity to get to those parks, but things like these service corps are a really great way to get your foot in the door with the National Park Service, start building connections to go down the career path that you want, and to get to work in an area and learn about the cultural and environmental history of an area that they may not have otherwise encountered without this experience.
Thank you. Wuju, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just want to re-emphasize how important it is to foster community through like these environmental activities. Like if you promote park usage in a way that makes land feel more relevant and connected to people, particularly youth's everyday lives, I think they would be more likely to actively care for conservation and sustainability, not only in a larger scale of things, but also within their everyday, choices. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. This has been great hearing about your experiences working in some of these great and beautiful places that you all work. Again, thank you all. Now it's time to open it up for our question and answer session. Joining the question and answer session are Nicole Mason, the Service-Wide Maintenance Action Team Coordinator for the National Park Service, George McDonald, a Senior Advisor for Youth Programs with the United States Department of the Interior, and Sandy Scott, a Senior Advisor for Strategic Partnerships with Americorps. And I invite them to come on and turn on their cameras. Panelists, please keep your webcams on. I also invite Mary Ellen, Tracy, and Jamie to turn on their cameras again to keep them on for the remainder of this event. And please continue to submit your questions through the chat box, and we will do our best to address them. And we have plenty of questions. So we have a question from Mark Creek from the Personal Tennessee student. He's a student in Tennessee, a college student. And as a freshman college student and a prior military airman, I am wondering what you all believe would be the best way to get into the NPS from someone with no connection to anyone already in it. And this question could go, we'll start with Tracy, if you could answer that, and then George and Sandy.
I apologize. I was in the chat. Could you repeat the question, Nicole?
Oh, I'm sorry. As a freshman college student and a prior military airman, I am wondering what you all believe would be the best way to get into the NPS from someone with no connections to anyone already in it. And it said it's for Tracy, George, and Sandy, but I can also answer that question too, George.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm the best person to start, but service corps experiences are so great. There's so many individual placement, internship, fellowship, apprenticeship type opportunities across the Park Service that engage with the natural resource side, but also if you're interested in technology or finance or government. I'm so sorry. But there's so many ways, and those entry-level positions are the perfect way to get started.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that you should make Jamie Crispin your best friend, and maybe I can be your second best friend. And I put my email into the chat, and we can connect you with some opportunities for sure in the National Park Service, as well as in some of the other bureaus within the Department of Interior that are land managing agencies, such as the Bureau of Land Management, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, the Bureau of Reclamation, United States Geological Survey. And also, as a military veteran, your skill level, your experience is highly sought after by the Department of Interior, especially the National Park Service.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Mark, with being in college, there's definitely some opportunities for you, but also being a being prior military, we have a number of hiring authorities that you could take a look at to see if you qualify for some of those. We have a number of veterans hiring authorities. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get into the National Park Service, federal government, and not necessarily have to know anybody. But yeah, just take a look at, as George said, Jamie could be your best friend, but also take a look at some of those special hiring authorities that are out there, particularly for veterans. And they would kind of help you sort of figure out how you want to move along in the process of looking for a federal job.
And the National Park Service Traditional Trades Advancement Program, which is one of the largest youth for young adult programs in the National Park Service, that focuses on climate-related infrastructure projects around historic preservation with some focus on brick and stone masonry and carpentry. They have a very sizable veteran component to that program. And over the last 8 or 9 years, if my memory serves me well, almost 100% of all the veterans that have participated in that program have gotten job opportunities for career positions in the National Park Service.
Thank you, George. Look at you, always full of information. The next question is from Ann Ryan. She's an educator. Does major really matter for most environmental jobs? Some colleges don't have many specific majors, and what majors matter? And this is to the panelists, and if anybody wants to jump in there and answer that question.
Well, everybody's been quiet, so I'm going to answer it. I think that if you can read, write, and think, and you're adventurous, no matter which your college major is, there's a career waiting for you in the National Park Service. I'm a political science history major, and I've turned this liberal arts degree into a really, I think, a very rewarding career. So we're definitely a place for liberal arts majors, which I happen to be partial to. But you know, the majors such as environmental science, biology, those sorts of things are also sought after. But we also need information technology specialists. We need writer editors. We have a huge communication component. Law enforcement is huge in the National Park Service. I mean, we have it, when you go to big parks like Yellowstone and Yosemite, they're actual court systems and jails. And the law enforcement component is very big, because when we have hundreds of millions of visitors, we have to protect those visitors as well as the natural and cultural resources, which is some of the most valuable in the United States.
Yeah, I agree with George. I was a communications major in college. And again, as I said in the beginning, I've been doing this for a very long time. And I didn't really have a affinity for the outdoors. I learned to love the outdoors over this time, but again, you don't have to have a specific major. You have to have an interest in wanting to do the job. But I also tell people you have to be adventurous, right? You have to want to kind of get out there and go and see some of these great places. And we have plenty out there for everybody. So if you don't want to be in a Yellowstone, you could work at a president's home. So there's just a lot of places that we have that would suit everybody's interest in the Park Service. Our next question is from Ellen Snyder. She's an ecologist with GEM Corps in Arizona. And this question is for Olivia. How did you connect with the local indigenous groups, or who was a good community contact for partnering with the Blackfeet Nation that could be translated to the Arizona area?
Yeah, so this is our third summer doing this program under the Montana Conservation Corps. So the Montana Conservation Corps is partnered with like a employee program in Browning, Montana on the Blackfeet Reservation. So that is kind of how that started. Right now we're in the midst of trying to expand our networking to other indigenous groups in Montana specifically, just because this is only our third summer doing this. So it is in the talks of expanding to different reservations in Montana. So hopefully in future years that this will be a nationwide nationwide thing.
Great, thank you, Olivia. Our next question comes from Amanda Joy, Appalachian Mountain or Appalachian, I'll say them both, Mountain Club, and she's a backcountry campsite field supervisor. What's one tip you have for leaders to foster an inclusive learning environment, such as in a backcountry setting? And this is for the panelists and whoever wants to jump in there first.
I can speak on this one. I think trainings are, very important, making sure that everybody is prepared going into the field, and then also addressing any individual needs of specific people that are, specific to one person before you're going out into the field, just making sure, I guess, that everybody is comfortable and they feel prepared, and that the crew should also, know each other and be able to work well together, so that if something happens in the field, that people know how to problem solve, how to get out of certain situations. And I think just as long as you as a leader can sort of establish all of this beforehand, then you are set up for success.
Great, thank you. And we have another question from Jeff Hammond. What are the opportunities to bring on social workers for community engagement for people of color, to bring about more diversity, to connect with the school in the inner city, and also to continue follow up on mental health and job coaching with youth currently connected to the services?
Sandy Stott at Americorps, because part of our portfolio of programs includes, we have 65,000 every year. About 15,000 are environmental stewardship, conservation, clean energy, disaster response, solar installation, urban farms and gardens. So we're not tied to a particular land base, and so we have thousands of urban opportunities. We also have a whole set of other programs. Some of the questions were broader, dealing with education. We have mental health student core programs. So if you're looking sort of broadly, but that there's, I'll go to Americorps.gov. If you're looking at things that are in the climate and environmental space that also have that connection, and I think all of our agencies and all of us on the call here are all very committed to increasing diversity. And this is a very core principle of the American Climate Corps that President Biden announced. For example, we're all working to increase the living allowance that Americorps members, ACC members, Public Lands Corps members, all these programs. That's really important to make sure that it's an opportunity open to everyone. Enhance other benefits, provide wraparound services, make sure that there's opportunities in the communities that are most impacted, as we know that climate change has a disproportionate negative impact on people of color and low-income communities. So it's a conscious and broad effort and a key part and principle of the American Climate Corps that President Biden announced the website launch of on Monday. And there literally are thousands of positions that you can find relating, depending on where you are and what you want to do.
Ellen Sprinkle with the Core Network. So as I think I mentioned during my opening remarks, we represent 150 programs across the country, many of them in partnership with Americorps, as Sandy referenced. I think we have representation from 6 of our corps on the call today, and thank you so much to our Corps members for doing such an amazing job of representing the diverse and wonderful work that you all do every day. About 50% of our member corps are based in urban areas: Brooklyn, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles. About 40% of the 22,000 corps members that enroll in corps every year identify as people of color. And as we have kind of alluded to, there are affiliate or affinity corps, so that intentionally engage young people that identify as Indigenous or as LGBTQA or with a varying ability. So corps have been around for sometimes as many as 60 years, have been very intentionally engaging and providing opportunities for very diverse young people. Yet some of our corps specifically reach out to opportunity youth or young people that still need to complete high school or have a first work experience, young people exiting foster care or the juvenile justice system. A lot of our corps run charter schools and provide an opportunity for corps members to finish high school while they are doing their service. So kind of no matter where you are, where you're coming from, your skill level, your interest level, there is a corps for you, a corps experience for you, and very likely operating in your own community. So you don't necessarily have to go across the country, although you can, to have an amazing experience. And I would say that the core programs themselves, the model that they are built around, are designed to provide a comprehensive and holistic experience for the young person. So mental health care, addiction, workforce development, career counseling, transitional services. We've kind of only scratched the surface a little bit here today, but if you are interested in learning more about the wide range of experiences and the variety of ways that corps can meet you no matter where you're at and provide you an experience to go wherever you want to go, please visit our website.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Does anybody else have anything for that question? All right, so our next question is from Shane Walsh. What role do platforms like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube play in your strategy for connecting with younger individuals passionate about preservation? And this is for all of the panelists. And Jamie, you just popped up on my screen, so I'll let you start first.
You got it. Hi, everyone. Jamie Crispin from National Park Service. I know that Lucy Hurlbut and Kelsey Branner on this phone call, and they manage the digital communications for the Youth Programs Division. And I want to say that thinking about our social media presence, elevating stories are really crucial to meeting our objectives and is part of our priorities. We work really hard to identify what are those feel-good stories so that we can get those stories out on our social media presence. I'm really proud of the work Lucy and Kelsey have been doing. They've really increased our followers. And we know that we've also had a lot of help with nps.gov being featured on some of theirs. So for us, it is a key element to making sure that youth and young adults are aware of the internship opportunities and that they see conservation or federal government as a career pathway and as an option for getting skills and to become part of our workforce. So we are continuing to boost it and to use it more. And we look forward to potentially highlighting some of these wonderful interns on our social media channels. Thank you.
Anybody else want to take a stab at that, or?
I like to add to what Jamie has stated, and also to commend Lucy for her great work in this. But I think that as young people, as you get out, as you participate in these opportunities in the field, it's really important to share your work and the impacts of your work with your peer group, and more importantly, with the general public, because most people are not really aware of the importance of natural and cultural resource conservation work on our public lands. They also are not, they kind of think they know about climate change, but they really don't, because climate change and the impacts of climate change are so, they're all encompassing. And so a lot of people just think that in the climate space, it's all about scientists and research and what causes it. But in the core world, what people do on these Service Corps projects is that we're helping to address and mitigate the adverse impacts of climate change. We're protecting the wildlife. We're protecting critical natural resources. We're also protecting cultural resources. Our culture, the very fabric of our country, is in danger because of the adverse impacts of climate change with the weather patterns and rising sea levels and these horrific weather events that used to only take place every couple of thousand years that are taking place, it seems like every other month. And what social media is a great place for sharing ideas, but there's a lot of misinformation. And I think that it's really important for young people to get those messages out and to do it authentically in spaces and in language and in communication that your peer group, as well as people in your community, can understand. We as the government, all us folks are over 50 like myself, we don't really have the pulse. You have the pulse. And that's one of the important messages that I really want to emphasize with all the people on this call who have been participating in these core programs.
Thank you, George. Anyone else want to contribute, or did George say it all?
I have a really quick point that is just that those social media accounts, the White House immediately launched them on Monday. And the important thing also is that it was young people who we can thank for the American Climate Corps for existing. It was young people who said it needed to happen. It was young people who didn't give up when there was an attempt made in 2021 to do it through the legislative process. And it was young people who kept saying, we need this. So, and the federal government can't use TikTok, so that's not happening. Absolutely, communications vehicles that reach young people is important, and they have been used, and they will continue to be used. And young people deserve the credit for leading and pushing for the creation of the American Climate Corps.
Young people were the agitators in this work, and you got to continue to agitate and hold the government and everybody accountable. Thank you, Sandy, for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you all. This is great information. We have another question from Melanie Wallace. She's the Career Pathways Deputy Director for the California Conservation Corps. And this question is for all panelists or whoever feels like they want to answer. What are your career goals? And what do you wish Corps provided to help you reach your goals? Anybody want to jump in? Oh, okay.
I'll start to answer this. So I still don't exactly know what I want to do with my career. That's part of why I took this position, traveling around with Golf Corps. I think it's definitely helped seeing a variety of different agencies and seeing the ins and outs of how people work and how they communicate with each other, and getting to do different projects that, you know, can range from putting together a telescope for the city so people could just observe the land to like more direct land action stuff. That's really helped to just explore different careers. And I think like if you don't know what you want to do, taking a core position can help you just explore options, talk to different people, talk about, you know, how they got to where they are, because a lot of people have very varied pathways to their positions. Yeah.
I can also answer this question. I think for me, I was in a similar boat of, I know that I want to continue doing something with the environment. That's what my degree is in. I was an environmental studies major in college, and I took this position because I wanted to get more of the office side of things. Now, having done this position, I know that I definitely want to continue both the in the office and the in the field work, and I'm going to end my term in the end of October of 2024, and I'm looking into getting a federal job right now and trying to start that process and get prepared to use my federal hiring authority. And on top of that, also looking for ways to continue to stay involved in the climate core world.
Great, thank you, Mason. Does anybody else want to tackle that question, or should I move on?
I can jump in. So this experience absolutely shaped my future career goals. And so right now I'm in the first year of my PhD at the University of Arkansas. And hopefully in the future, I would love to work as a researcher for USGS, especially in their climate adaptation science centers. And I think like before I joined the Corps, I had done my undergrad and I was already working on my master's. And so I had a lot of experience doing research in academia, and I had developed my interests, you know, in plant adaptation and evolutionary biology, but the experience being in the Corps and working like boots on the ground in the field, like on public lands, really shaped like my ideas for the research that I'm doing now. And it sort of like really let me see that there is a space and like sort of an area for my research interests that were in academia to sort of inform conservation methods. And so that absolutely like has totally shaped my future trajectory, what I'm doing now and hopefully what I will be doing in the future. Thank you.
You, Jenna. We have a couple more questions in the chat, and the next question is from Star Gould. What would be the best way for the unknowing public to gain more knowledge, to familiarize themselves before jumping into any type of conservation career, including volunteerism? And I will ask Jamie or George to answer the question.
Sure. Thanks, Nicole. So Jamie Crispin, National Park Service. I think that's a really great question. And I think one of the things is to use what resources you have on hand. So Googling it, looking on the internet. You know, we have a really robust website. I also think going to our partner, the Core Network, or going to Americorps. Looking at their websites, you can search opportunities that are listed and active, as well as right now the American Climate Corps website portal will give you some opportunities. But I think you have to look at it and read about what's open to decide for yourself, what is your capacity to engage in this kind of work? Are you looking for a short-term volunteer opportunity? Are you looking for maybe a 12-week internship over the summer? Or maybe you're thinking about a year-long kind of gap year. So I would think the first place would be just to learn more, just to start identifying and looking at opportunities that are available and seeing if it's something that you're interested in. And of course, we always welcome folks at the National Park Service, and we'd love to have you come be with us. But George, anything else, or Sandy, that you want to add?
I'd love to jump in. That's a great question. And I think I heard the question is ways to learn more before you jump to a career. And I think you heard on this from the panelists, our lovely panelists, that actually doing a sustained but short-term, national service in one of these corps is a fantastic way to dip your toe in the water, to see if this is what you like, to try something that you think you might and get a real feel for it. There's a huge variety of different things you can do just within the Conservation Corps community that's been talked about a couple of times. We see this all the time. We've had 1.3 million alumni in Americorps. I'd say probably a quarter or maybe 20 to 25% have been Conservation Corps. We see where they are now.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a new member.
They're like the CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, the U.S. Senator Martin Heinrich, the senator. He started as a Conservation Corps. The head of the Solar Energy Industries Association. They're all over. They're leading the entire climate environmental movement now, and they started doing one of these programs. So check one of these out, and if you don't like that one, maybe try another one. And again, I know we're really focused on the National Park Service, and National Park Service is one of the best places you could ever work in your life. But there's a lot of other things too, and this climate crisis affects many sectors, and there are going to be millions of new jobs created in the clean energy economy, and we don't have the workers for them yet. So it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, and I like to concur with everything that Jamie and Sandy said. And I think we also need to recognize and thank Sandy Scott, because he actually, as a staffer on Capitol Hill, he was one of the principal authors behind the Public Land Corps Act of 1993, which has been subsequently updated, but it forms a foundation, a legal authority for these opportunities. So I just want to thank Sandy for that. And he also was there when they were laying the bricks down to build the Americorps program back in the early 90s. I think he might have been the first or second employee with the whole program. But when we talk about opportunities, the great thing about the White House initiative and President Biden's initiative in putting his prestige behind service corps by mentioning this as one of his top priorities in the State of the Union and creating the American Climate Corps program is that for the first time, we now, through Sandy Scott and Yasmin McConnell's work, now have a website that will serve as a clearinghouse for these opportunities across all the agencies. And that includes not only Department of Interior through National Park Service, all our land management agencies, but also the Forest Service, the Environmental Protection Agency now, Department of Energy, as well as a lot of urban opportunities through the Americorps program are now coming under this one central umbrella. So that means that it makes for one-stop shopping as you're looking for different opportunities, but it also is expanding the kind of work. So one example is through our partners with Conservation Legacy. They've had a program around for 20 plus years. That's the Americorps Vista program, which is a service corps program, but it goes into energy communities. These are places and states where fossil fuel mining was the chief economic piece. And through Service Corps work, these young people are now going into those communities where the economy has been decimated by the closing of these mines and other different factors, and saying, hey, there are options for these communities, helping them to build economic stability and capacity through renewable energy sources, through this $1 trillion+ green industries and infrastructure, through electric cars, solar panels, all of these things, and also preserving and protecting our natural and cultural resources. And it's core members that are making this possible in these communities. And more specifically through the National Park Service, Service Corps work is central. It supports almost all of our critical mission functions because Service Corps members come in and they're able to augment the work that we as the federal employees don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to do. So that work is critically important. It's critically important not only for the resources, but also this work is real work. It's not busy work. So you're actually gaining skills that are transferable both into the public sector as the private sector. So I just want to applaud all of you all, but more importantly, the work that Sandy Scott has done over the last 30+ years.
Thank you,
I thought you were going to say I was in the CCC too.
Sandy is my idol. He is my mentor in this work.
That's awesome. I need to meet Sandy. Hi, Sandy. I want to thank everyone for their wonderful questions, and I'm sorry we could not get to everyone's question. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. And so this is going to be our last question, and this is for Sandy, George, and the other Nicole. Now that the American Climate Corps online hub has launched, what advice would you give to young adults who are considering serving in a Corps program? What should they anticipate and how can they make the most of their experience? Sandy, would you like to go first?
Sure. Yep. We've talked about a fair amount of those things in this great conversation. One of the things that's new about, you've heard about several different websites. This one actually, it tells you the pay, which is a good transparency thing. I think that's helpful. I'm not saying that you should only search on that. What I'm saying is that that's a new feature of this particular website. I think that, go anywhere and make a difference everywhere is kind of the slogan. You pick what you're passionate about, pick what you want to do. You want to adventure, you want to go across country and go to Alaska, you want to work in your neighborhood in the Bronx. There's existing programs built over, as Maryland, 60 years in some cases, but a lot of new ones. And they're doing a wide range of things and a lot of it's on federal, state, local parks, forests, public lands, but a lot of it's not. Weatherization, solar installation, it's investments that have been made and are continuing to be made from the $370 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law. They're going to be creating all kinds of new opportunities. And so it's really a matter of what you want to do and where you think you're headed in your career. And the other thing I'd say is, be creative. You could start your own organization. We have Americorps alumni and conservation alumni who served in a program, then they just created their own, and now they're hiring other alumni. So be entrepreneurial and this, to address this problem, we need to think outside the box. And so even the opportunities we have now, which are very wide, vast, and cool, you could be thinking of things that you create yourself.
I'd like to add to what Sandy has said, and one of the other advantages around American Climate Corps is that, especially at Interior, is that we're incorporating the vast majority of traditional Corps projects, which all have a climate component in it, even if it's not clearly spelled out in the project description. but we're also building out very prescriptive programming and projects that directly address certain aspects of climate mitigation, resiliency, and restoration. So some examples, there'll be opportunities that'll be listed on this website, if they're not already, that deal with going into our tribal nations, our sovereign tribal nations, and supporting bison herd expansion, which is a key component of the fight to balance out our ecosystem to sustain us with these adverse impacts of climate change. Also, things dealing with sustainable farming. That is a big part of Service Corps work that's not really publicized, but it's really important. How we produce our food is going to make the difference between whether or not we win this fight or we lose this fight. And that's an issue that's both in rural, suburbia, and in urban areas. And then also, I also want to reemphasize what Sandy said. Be adventurous. Look in that mirror and say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run the world. I want to change, not necessarily run the world, but change the world for the better. This is a program that is built for idealists and action-focused people. This is not a program for people who just want to be keyboard warriors. This is about going into the space, getting into the resource, getting dirty, mixing it up, helping people, changing lives, protecting our wildlife, and more importantly, putting our country on a pathway forward that is sustainable for the survival of our planet. That's what American Climate Corps should be, will be, if you all participate in this work and you all become the agitators, supporters, inside people, outside people, working in the public and private sector, on public lands and in state and local lands, and really sharing the word with as many people as possible that this is a team activity and we all need to be collectively engaged for the betterment of the planet.
Nicole.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Mason. I'm the Service-Wide Maintenance Action Team Coordinator in National Park Service, and I have red hair and brown eyes, and my background is a picture at Sequoia National Park at a high elevation lake. Both Sandy and George are more eloquent than me, so I'll just add a little bit in the interest of time. I would say that this is your opportunity and your experience. So if you end up on a Corps doing something that maybe you thought you would love, you don't really love, ask if you can shadow another work group. Could you shadow an archaeologist? Could you shadow someone in the visitor center? Ask for help looking at your resume, record all the skills, all the experiences that you're having so you can show what you've done. I really want to say that it's your opportunity to imagine where you want to be and to have new experience and make connections and network. So that's the thing that I would add, of just to make the most of your experience.
Great. Thank you all so much for those inspiring words. And to end, I'm going to ask each of our speakers to share a 10 to 20 second final message that you would leave with the audience. And we're going to start with, and I'm just going to read off the names. And if you forget the order, just let me know. But we're going to start with Sandy, George, Nicole Mason, Mason Buckner, Olivia, Wuju, Sarah G, Jenna, Sarah D, Jamie, Tracy, and then Mary Ellen will end our conversation. So Sandy, 10 to 20 seconds.
Go out and make a difference. Visit climatecorps.gov.
Thank you. George?
Step into your power. Be adventurous and be lifelong learners and never lose your curiosity.
Nicole?
Work hard, ask a lot of questions, and chase the opportunities that excite you.
Mason?
Don't be afraid to jump in. You'll find your people. You'll find your purpose. Thanks.
Olivia?
Honor and support conservation efforts. We not only protect the environment and preserve cultural heritage, but we also nurture a more sustainable and harmonious relationship with the world around us.
Wushu.
Thank you everyone for attending today. And I just want to remind you to consider insects and their vital role in our ecosystems within your conservation efforts.
Sarah G.
So for those who haven't joined the course member, there's always something new to learn. So join us, and you never know if you're going to find your passion serving with us.
Jenna.
I think sometimes when discussing climate change or conservation, people, can ask like, oh, what are we really doing? Are we making a difference? And I just would leave with the audience that there are a ton of really brilliant people, really dedicated people that are doing great work, and they're making a difference, and you can be a part of that too. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah D.
Even if positions like this seem intimidating, just by their description, just as long as you follow your passions and you persevere, anyone can really do this.
Jamie.
My advice is to take a risk, but also I challenge you all to find a personal connection to one of our national parks, to nature, or really just to history, and see where that takes you.
Tracy.
Do what you love, let your passions drive you, get out into our parks and enjoy the environment.
And Mary Ellen.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties today. First, thank you so much to all of our panelists. You core members inspire us and make us proud. And at least I think at the Core Network and your federal partners are why we get up and do what we do every day. And for those of you who are watching, I hope you were inspired to check out a core experience, whether it be a month long or a year long. There are different ways to try different experiences. To Mason's point, jump in, you'll find your people, you'll find your purpose. Please check out jobs at CORES, at the Core Network, at American Climate Corps or acc.gov. I have been doing this work for quite a while, not as long as Sandy, but as long as George. And this is absolutely the most exciting time I have ever experienced in the core movement and in the country. It's taking our nation's challenges around climate, around workforce, around equity and economic opportunity, and it's creating opportunities for young people to find their path. So I urge you to check it out. I think Sandy might have mentioned sustainable agriculture. There might be some new opportunities coming in the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes and ears open. There are lots of opportunities now, and I think those are only going to continue to grow. So thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see, I travel around to a lot of cores and to a lot of communities. I hope to see you all out there finding your people and finding your passion and being part of the American Climate Corps. And back to you, Nicole.
Thank you all so much. This has truly been inspiring. I am, as I said, I worked for the Park Service for a very long time. Didn't, know a lot about cores, but I am very inspired to continue to spread the word to the young people that I come in contact with. But this concludes our session for today. I would like to thank you all, our speakers and panelists, for your remarks, and our audience for attending this event. If you would like to send comments or questions about today's event, please contact